Hello, everybody, and welcome back to NHL 2K6 for the PS2. This is going to be weird, I guess a little disclaimer to start this one off. So this is the new format that we're doing with this video moving forward. I already talked about it extensively in the second half of this video, but I decided at the end of the second half to include gameplay. So the whole second half of the video I'm going to be talking in terms that this part doesn't exist, but now it does. So just keeping that in mind moving forward as we go through, I guess, the month of November, the second month of the season, and we're going to be starting off with a road trip to Canada to play the Edmonton Oilers. We start this month off in Edmonton, and then in Calgary, and then finish off in Vancouver before finally returning home, I believe. Or there might be another road game to end that one off. I can't exactly remember. It was in the calendar at the beginning of the video, as you saw. I was focused on adding the disclaimer at the beginning of the video here. But we're going to get things started off already. Rick Nash sending the puck up here, and Thierry Fleury with a shot off of the goaltender. Loose puck now retrieved by the Jackets and sent over to a waiting Rick Nash, who's waiting over by the circle there in the corner, and just flicks a one-timer into the back of the net behind the goalie, netting his second goal of the season. You see that rebound just left loose, and there are plenty of Oilers in the vicinity, but no one could really get to Thierry and Fleury. I think that was actually, it might have been Marchand, I think, who might have gotten a stick on it. I couldn't quite see, but yeah, I thought maybe Thierry and Fleury got the loose puck, but I don't think he did. So, but either way, Rick Nash gets himself another goal here, and the first period is going to come to a close with that one goal being the deciding factor. I don't know why the little end screen with the score goes away as quickly as it does. It doesn't do it for the end of the game, so either way. But the Oilers are now on the attack, and a pass in front of the net gets behind Mark Denise here. You thought maybe he was going to try and wrap around the net and try something crafty here, but the puck gets sent to Mike York, who's waiting right in front of the net. He repositions himself and just flicks a backhander, and Mark Denise gets a piece of it. Definitely gets the glove on it here, but just not enough of the glove to stop the puck entirely. We've seen that a little bit so far into this game, both for and against us, but Mark Denise would have liked to have seen maybe get a hand on that puck here. About halfway through the second period now, the puck is loose in the neutral zone, and the Oilers are going to be taking this one down here, trying some crafty stick work here, and a loose puck is retrieved and somehow is in the back of the net. Once again, some wacky camera angles make things kind of hard to follow, but Ales Hemsky retrieves a loose puck here after some weird deking goes awry here. So the defense put a hit on to get the puck loose here, but Hemsky was just sitting there waiting for it, basically. And I don't know how Mark Denise didn't get a good look at that puck, but either way. So down in the last 30 seconds of the period's just about to end, and another Blue Jackets goal is going to be scored. Just 21 seconds as Tard Marchand finally gets himself a point here. Not just a point, he gets himself a goal as Teppo Newman passes one up to Rick Nash, and Nash across the ice here gets it right in front of the goaltender, and Marchand just gets the stick on it. That beautiful backhand right up behind that glove side. So good play by the Jackets here. The very end of the second period, getting that goal here, building some momentum heading into the locker room for the second intermission. So we're going to come out in the third period and hopefully maybe wrap this one up. So right off of the face-off here in the Blue Jackets zone, or in the Oilers zone, and this one's going to be retrieved by the Jackets, and it's a wraparound goal. We've seen some of those, and it's Castles, man. It's another Andrew Castles goal, as Verborny gives this one, passes this one to Castles, and he's just going to wrap around with all the speed. Look at that. The goalies move way too slow off of this post-to-post thing here, man. They just do not have the speed for those goals. It's like broken in this game. Even the AI is exploiting it. So with a 3-2 lead here, but though late in the third period, the Oilers on the attack again. Hemsky with a shot off of the goaltender, but it's loose and retrieved by the Oilers, and a goal is scored regardless. As the Oilers' relentless attack here, the Jackets defense couldn't get anything on it, couldn't get a stick on the puck. And boom, just a beautiful one-timer. We see the defensive pairing giving up some goals quite a bit. I think we've seen them quite a bit. But the game is now over here at 3 apiece. So we're going to need some extra time for what feels like the millionth time in this series so far to decide a game. And there's the breakdown statistically after 3 periods. The Oilers are absolutely hammering Mark Denise, and he is keeping us in this game as our offense is struggling to get pucks onto the net. But there's an important puck on the net from Thierry and Fleury as he nets the game-winning goal here in Edmonton. Rick Nash gives him the pass across the circles here, and Yeah, beautiful shot by Therian Fleury. So Newman handing the puck to Nash here. Nash repositions and gives that one over to Therian Fleury, who's just sitting there waiting on it, man. He's just sitting like Ovechkin, just waiting on it. Beautiful pass to get past the defenseman here, because they were certainly in position. Maybe, yeah, see, they put a stick down. Maybe they would have laid out for that one. I don't know how they didn't see that one-timer from a mile away, but that's exactly why we set him up. And Therian Fleury just barely beats the goaltender on that shot. Just barely beats him. So, but that will end this game here. We will not need a shootout, as the Jackets are able to win this one in overtime. So, and now that will do it for this portion of the video. Now, like in the Nationals video, we're going to head back to the Hub World and go over our stats and the rest of the month for this video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to NHL 2K6. So, we'll be doing something different here. I mulled over this for a little bit, trying to figure something out here, because I was recording through all these games and stuff to try and start editing the next couple episodes for the series, and two things kind of entered my head as I was doing that. The first one being, this is kind of an excessive amount of games here that probably really aren't super relevant in the grand scheme of things in terms of watching them. And then the second thing is the results that the sim was giving. It was starting to be a little bit concerning, because I realized we were only winning and losing in regulation, which is fine. It's normal. It does happen in the regular season. But I just kind of had this thought. I'm like, I wonder if the game would be a little bit more fair to have the rosters being used, like actually using our backup goaltender, not just relying on Mark Denise all the time. Or relying on me to put him in, maybe giving some of our better goal scorers actual more opportunities than the sim in the game does. And then maybe we'd have an opportunity to earn some more points outside of regulation instead of just losing in regulation. But it's hilarious because you'll see our record now, and that's because I've also simmed through the month of November. So what this is going to be, I'm going to kind of change this series to kind of function much like the Washington National series does. And we are going to do kind of just like monthly recaps, just like in the National Series. And I'll probably at least choose a game from the month, just like I do in the National Series, to kind of showcase. But I don't know why I didn't just do this from the start, and I guess that's why I'm making a huge spiel of it at the beginning of this video, talking about it, because... yeah, I was recording all of them last night, and I'm trying to backlog or get it as far ahead as I can for this Thanksgiving week, and I'm just thinking like I will not have the time to edit like 10 games for 2 episodes, or more than that for 4, because I got to get this week and of course next week as well. So I'm like, if we just kind of structure it like the National Series, it'll probably go a lot better. We'll be able to get further, too. That's the big thing I haven't talked about, is that we'll be able to get along further. I hadn't even begin to think through the math that it would require to get through the season the way that I was recording it. You know what I mean? Every batch of 3 or 4 games here or there. I have no idea how long, out of 82 games, you can think in your head how many videos that would take just to get to the end of one season. So with the National Series, we've been able to churn through 3 seasons pretty darn quickly by doing videos in the format that I've chosen over there. So we're probably going to treat this the exact same way. So without all that spiel done, let's do our monthly recap through the end of October and November. So the last video that we did with gameplay, you saw this little homestand that we had here with the Sharks, the Red Wings back-to-back, the Predators, and the Wild. So the Wild game is back-to-back, but we had to travel to St. Paul to finish that back-to-back. But that did cap off a 3-game losing streak to end the month of October. So October was a pretty streaky month. We have 2 3-game losing streaks kind of cemented through the middle of the month with a 3-game win streak. So there's a lot to be upset about, I guess, that first month, but we at least did win a good amount of games, so I wasn't super concerned heading into November. But as you can see the record again, we are 500 still, so we got to be the most mid team on the planet, man. I'm telling you. So we started the month off with a 2-game win streak, heading up to Canada to play the Oilers and the Flames. And then we finished off our Canadian road trip in Vancouver. Canucks off to a pretty hot start at 15-9-1-1, and they did beat us in a close one. And then we would return back to Columbus for a nice little homestand where we played the Blues twice a week apart, threw in the Oilers and Predators in between that. And we picked up 2 wins against the Oilers and the Preds, or the Kings. I thought it was the Preds logo. It's the Kings, sorry. The Oilers and the Kings. But we would lose both games to the St. Louis Blues, who are about as good as we are, judging by their record as well. So they would manage to beat us. both times here in Columbus. So we would finally bounce back into the win column, heading down to Dallas to play the Stars, who are a pretty good team. The record really doesn't showcase that, but they are a good team. I can assure you. At least around this time. They might be maybe heading out of that time, like the Madonna years are on the downturn and all those players are leaving. Do they still have Marty Turco? Do we know? I can't remember. But then we would lose to the Phoenix Coyotes, which is rough. I never want to lose to the Coyotes. Even though we're the Blue Jackets and we are also probably just as bad as the Coyotes historically at this point, I don't want to lose to the Coyotes, a team that doesn't exist anymore. I do not want to lose to them. But we do pick up a nice revenge win over the Predators. Remember, they beat us pretty bad at the end of October. So we do get a revenge on them here late in November, around Thanksgiving time. I think this is Thanksgiving, the 24th. But we would come out of that win and immediately into a loss to the Avalanche, who, again, should probably be better than the record implies at this time, I would think. We finally pick up a win against the St. Louis Blues towards the end of the month, and then we would lose for the third time to the Minnesota Wild here at the end of the month. So of the Wild's 15 wins this season, 3 of them have come from us, man. That is a gross percentage. So we just cannot seem to beat the Minnesota Wild, our brothers in expansion, as we'll call them. We cannot seem to beat them, so we will now head to, we can look at the standings from that screen because it's just a very intuitive scheduling screen, but we will look at the standings here overall. So here in the Western Conference, we are, of course, in the Western Conference because, of course, we are. But we are just kind of outside of that last seed. Really, Calgary is, but we are kind of on the cusp of it. So we're rocking over 25 points, just 2 points away from San Jose. And San Jose was off to a hot start. I think they had a 5-0 start, as we saw when they came to play us in Columbus. So they've kind of struggled since then, going 7-9-1-2. So, but they're sitting at 27 points, and in front of them, Dallas is also sitting at 27 points, and I would say Phoenix is also within reach at 28. So, being only 5 points behind, what is that, the 5th seed? I like our chances right now. And if we play 500 hockey, then we should be able to at least fight for a spot, which is kind of something that I thought maybe asking a bit much, but the way that the roster's constructed, it's definitely possible. So if we can stay around that 500 point, we got to start losing games out of regulation, at least get some points. That's, I mean, it's crazy to say, but, if we're going to lose games, you're going to lose 12 games, at least try and lose maybe a couple of those, in overtime or in a shootout. So, which is something we've struggled to do. But we are tied currently with Colorado and Edmonton, so we could just as easily be in like a 12th or 13th spot as we could a 10th spot. So I'm not. We got to remember that as well. We're not as far from the bottom as we are close to the top. So, but LA is leading things currently at the top of our conference. And then if you want to see the Eastern Conference, we will look at the East as well, with Tampa Bay leading the charge by a wide margin. Obviously, the best team in the NHL right now through the first 27 or so games that every team has just about played. They're sitting firmly at 41 points. No other team's even close to 40 points. Montreal and LA both have the same amount of pointage through the first chunk of the season. But Pittsburgh is sitting just firmly behind the Canadiens. Boston is tied with them at 30 points. And then Florida and Atlanta are sitting behind at 29. We'll see how long that holds for either of those teams. And then the Devils and the Islanders are currently rounding out the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference. But things are still early, and we have the Capitals, who are just to point out, and then the Sabres and the Flyers and the Maple Leafs are all at 25 or 26 points here, just within reach of that 8th or 7th spot here in the East. And so it really kind of falls off here with the Hurricanes, who really aren't that far out here at only 23. Same with the Sens and the Rangers. So there really isn't a team right now as it stands. It's like really kind of out of it. I mean, I guess you could consider Nashville, because Nashville is a good 5 points away from San Jose. They'd have to have quite a bit of luck go their way if they wanted to kind of climb back into things. But the point is, we are in a good spot, so I'm cool with that. So I guess we could look for our division if you guys are curious about how the division standing is currently going. So in the Central, we are currently second place behind the Red Wings. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm not shocked, really. I'm really not to be behind the Red Wings, but they do have 2 games on us, so we could make up that difference perhaps when we reach the 27-game mark. Who knows? But I think it's funny how every team in our division has a different amount of games played, and the records are all pretty identical. It's funny. But yeah, so that is how that works. I guess we will look at, well, okay, so team stats. Curious what stats to maybe look at that might be a little bit more more better, more better to look at here. Rookie leaders. Someone told me, I'm going to address this now. Someone commented about Sidney Crosby being a rookie in this game, which I'm aware of. He definitely is. But for some reason, I went through the Penguins roster, maybe see if we could try and steal him in a trade or something, and I couldn't find him. He wasn't there. I know that famously NHL 06 excluded, I think, Ovechkin and Crosby because they were trying to rush that game's release to match this game specifically. But to my understanding, I would have thought that they were also in this game. I'm not too sure, though. Who knows? But we are going to look, of course, over now our player stats. That's what we are going to now look at. So, Therion Fleury is leading the charge in pointage here by just a single point here. He's got 12 goals and 10 assists. He's the only double-digit goal scorer on the team so far. We've even seen him play pretty darn well in the games that we did watch before switching up the format. So, 22 points for him. And he's got 109 shots on goal. That's far and away the most, probably of any forward that we have on the team. But behind him is Todd Marchant with just 21 points here, really leading in the assist category as a center. That can be expected. So we got two 20-plus pointers on the team, which is nice to see. I don't know where I want, as far as pointage goes amongst the roster, how far I want that to go, like if I want, 60 pointers or 8, you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea how I want that broken down, but I would like to have at least a good consistent amount of pointage between at least the top line and maybe one or two guys in the second line, like just some solid point production from at least the top 3 or 4 guys. I mean, maybe the top 6 is what you'd want, right? Solid production for your top 6, but I think that's asking a bit too much early on in this sequence. So Rick Nash is third on the team here. He's really leading the charge with assists. He hasn't really found the back of the net nearly as much as the people that he's around, but he is turning out the points. So he's got a positive plus minus, and I think we will take that from a young Rick Nash. So and then Andrew Castles has been a big shock to me. He's been really kind of churning out the production, getting into the net, and so and whatnot. There we go. And so I was going to say so forth and whatnot. So we got two 18-pointers and two 20-plus pointers, and then it kind of drops off here to Teppo Numminen, who's the free agent that we signed. He is at 14 points through the first chunk of the season here, 12 assists. That's good. I will take. I will be happy about that. I will actually be proud about that. I think that's cool that he's there. He's helping out. He's really churning the offense here. And then Jaroslav Spacek, only 1 goal, but he's got 12 assists, and that's good for 13 points. So we will happily take that from Jaroslav Spacek. I guess I want to go through. Yeah, let's go through forwards first. I want to look through forwards. So David Verbroni, I think is who we moved to the second line. If I'm not mistaken, but either way. But yeah, so 11 points for Verbroni. He's got 7 assists, negative plus minus. Jeff Sanderson here with 10 points, 5 goals, 5 assists. We will take it. Nikolai Zerdev, another young player who's producing okay here with just 9 points. And then, Malortra, he had a multi-goal game earlier in the season. I guess that was probably half of his production on the year because he's only got the 4 goals. So now we're just getting to the guys with just a lot of assists. So I guess this top core here is really, so look, we got pretty solid point production through the top 4 guys on the roster through the first 2 months now of the season. But yeah, maybe we'd like to see something more from Verbroni or Sanderson, and we might get that as we move forward. We might just see that. So moving now, I guess, to gotta find him to the defenseman. Here we go. But yeah, okay. So outside of Numminen and Spacek here, there's really not a whole lot going on through the rest of our defensive pairings. Not a lot of production here. It's pretty early before we get down to a single pointer here down at the bottom. So I'd like to see a little bit more assists. Maybe that's the reason here for the lack of offensive production in the games that we watched. Maybe there's just a problem with our blue line helping getting that production on offense that we really need. So Mark Denise has played, obviously, the majority of our season. We're not surprised about that. But he's actually been pretty good, man. A 2.66 goals against average. I will happily, firmly take, man. I will happily take that. But the save percentage is rough. The save percentage is rough. So, and it's probably really, it has to do with the fact that we watched or, sim through half or the whole first month. And so, the shots on net probably were skewed from watching the sim rather than just fully simming the game. So he probably isn't, he's not allowed allowing a ton of goals, but he's probably not seeing a lot of shots either. So that save percentage is pretty low. But we will probably see that go. Probably see that get a little bit higher as I start simming more of the months. So, and the sim did finally start playing Bay a little bit more here, and he's done pretty well through his first 3 games or 3 starts that he's made for the Jackets in that. So we will probably see a lot more of him as we go through the season. So be happy about that. But that is how we stack up. That's how we stack up here statistically. So in the next one, I'll go through the schedule, of course, and end it just like we do with the Nationals. But in the next one, we will probably highlight any one of these games. Maybe this Red Wings game here, because we'll just try and keep it just like the Nationals, try and keep it within the division here, just maybe focus on the important games here. We got 2 games against the Blackhawks, which are probably going to be pretty important here, but we are playing a lot of Eastern teams this month here. We do have a... is this an Eastern homestand, or yeah, we got a split here. We do take to the road, yeah. So we got a lot of Eastern opponents here, but we also, of course, play the Red Wings twice and the Blackhawks twice in this month. So I will probably focus on one of those 2 games. But here's how the month goes. Here we're going to start off with our 3rd game. Is this our 3rd game against the Blues? No, it's our 4th game against the Blues. Jeez. So we got our 4th game against the Blues. I think this is an important one for us as well. But 4th game against St. Louis, and then we, of course, return to Columbus to play the Islanders before taking to the road to go to Atlanta to play the Thrashers, who are starting off hot this year. And then we will come home and play the Devils and the Flyers at Nationwide before hitting the road again to play Carolina and Raleigh to play the Hurricanes, and then heading to Nashville to play the Preds, and then finishing off that road stint in Detroit with the Red Wings again. So, and then we have a nice little long homestand here, welcoming the Stars, the Predators for the 2nd time this month, the Blackhawks, and finishing off with the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. And then we will close off the month with a back-to-back with the Blackhawks and Red Wings on the road. So heading to Chicago, Detroit to finish things off. That's a rough 2-game pair to finish a month off here. So hopefully we can gain some ground maybe in the playoff race, in the playoff push, maybe thrust ourselves a little bit forward here in the West, maybe get some much-needed pointage from some of these Eastern Conference games, even though a lot of our Eastern Conference opponents are pretty tough here. They're right around the same spot in the East that we are in the West. So that is how we're going to look at things. So in the next video, you can expect to see, we will focus on a game here. I will include one. I did record some games for this. I guess I could add, well, you know, I probably will. I'll try and do that. I'll try and get a video or a gameplay video edited, and we'll throw it at the beginning of this whole little spiel. And then, yeah, that'll be the video. And then in the next one, we're going to get the month of December, and then we're probably going to focus on this Red Wings game. So thank you all for watching and sticking with this. I'm struggling through doing the first hockey series on my channel. You know, there's a lot of people who don't do vintage hockey for this reason. It's difficult to do a very thorough and fun series of it and include gameplay because there's just so many games. So, but we've made it work with baseball, and I'm going to make it work with hockey. And we're going to focus on this series and be able to get some better videos in a better time span rather than just getting a bunch of short form hockey videos thrown at you at once twice a week. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. And if you don't, let me know. If you do, also let me know. Yeah, so moving on ahead, we will get December in the next video. Thanks again for watching.